time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue. I don't know.
I was Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. My name is Preston with my good time colleague, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building, and this show is Behind the Brand. We have our guest, Dahn J. What's going on, brother?
How's it going?
Going good, man. It's going good. I hear you have a positive energy. You've been doing this for a long time, and for the people who do not know at our audience, you are an independent musician. And it's been a span of over, 2 decades, my friend?
Yeah, just about. Oh, man.
Yeah. Crazy ride, huh?
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Now, from what I've been told, you've been doing this since the church at 8 years old.
Yes.
And what made you actually want to start doing this seriously? Tell our listeners.
So it's a funny story, when I was up in church. I was really influenced by music, but I always had it in me, kind of. I didn't have influences. Like, before I was 8, around 6, I would be the kid that would put pots and pans and like pillows together in like my parents' room, and they entertained it. They never came in and said, "Oh, put that away. What are you doing? You're making too much noise." They'll come in, and I'll be in their room actually.
Yeah.
And they'll come in and they'll see me. They'll close the door and like they'll encourage me. Sometimes they'll mix my setup. But before that, but after that, when I would go to church, I was just, man, I love the sound. I love the importance of what drums gave. And anytime that I could get, I would just try to like play. My dad was real friends with the pastor. I grew up at Prayer Tabernacle when I was a kid in Bridgeport. So he would talk with the pastor after, and while they were talking, I would just sneak my way over to the drums and try to play. So that's pretty much where it started, and it grew to be a love because there was a science to it. You know what I mean? Like, I can connect with like the tones and certain things. Like, if I were to really explain it, it would sound so weird, but
no, we embrace that.
Oh yeah, no, we are full. Look, no joke. Like in my house this week, my son is a drummer, and he came in and he started talking about he's researching the Rosanna Shuffle, and he's getting into the person who made the Rosanna Shuffle, who's from Connecticut, and like where it all came from. And I posted it up on social media, and then all my drummer friends were like, "Oh yeah, tell him this," and I would tell him, and he's like, "No, like I said, I'm researching this right now. And I already know that. You should have come and talked to me about that like a half hour ago." So we're all about weird conversations and, completely understanding them as well. So feel free, man. This is your platform, brother.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And you said you used to sneak into it just to play the drums. That is wild. That is wild, man. And you had a little concert in your parents' bedroom, and the first audience to ever see you play those drums.
Yeah, man, the TV, man. Turn the TV up loud, and that TV be watching me. That's what I'm trying to make a noise.
So you definitely were a standout when it came to the church band.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, like the church band, it kind of did it for me. But like I said, like the drums kind of stood out because even at that young age, I kind of figured no matter what notes like the keyboard player or the bassist was playing, it was still on a signature. You know what I mean? It was like, so like the drums was the one thing that like could tick and like have every articulation, and somebody would try to meet an articulation. So like I just grew to love it,
Definitely. Now tell me about the songwriting. What made you really want to get into that?
So songwriting, that was more so like I was writing songs, when I was younger, probably like, teens. And I transitioned. Now at this time I transitioned to my grandfather's church. This is before I got into like soul and jazz and all these other genres.
Right.
So I really started off spending a lot of time at my grandfather's church alone, just like, using the keyboard. We had motifs, the older motifs before I had a Mac. So I had to buy a smart card, which was way cheaper than buying a Mac, and just make different beats and different things like that. And what kind of helped me a little bit was my voice. Like when I was in school, I
Yeah.
had a teacher that just would not let me, like when it came to English and poetry, punctuation, grammar, she would not let me go. For some reason, she saw something in me,
Right.
and I hated it. I was just like, I don't care. I'm not gonna try to be poetic. I'm not gonna like. That's not where I am. Drums, 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 drums. And she worked with me, and I'll never forget it. When I first got my grade, she explained to me as to why she wanted to sit me down, as to why she wanted to really hone in on me, and the reason being was because the way I wrote, even though it was bits and pieces, is very artistic and told a story, even if it was something simple.
Right.
But it really encouraged me to start songwriting, and then I started really writing what was on my heart and finding that you can be very inspirational by just putting your story down, and it doesn't even have to be the full story. You know, you can write a book, and your book can be your full story, but you can write a bit and piece. You can write a day's worth of what you felt in that moment, and that'll be the key to tapping into someone else's heart, and then them seeing, oh wow, I go through this too. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's where it kind of all snowballs from there.
It's kind of crazy how life works. Was she your first mentor slash person to inspire you, your English teacher?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the reason why it was impactful for me because when I went to a school, there were 1,800 of us.
Wow.
So, you know, you walk in. I can only imagine now being an adult. If I'm working at a place and it's not my passion,
Right.
and I see out of those 1,800 kids, you figure 30 a class, you have 7 classes a day. You do the math on that. If I were to see all those kids, I probably wouldn't really like care too much. Come in, grade, go home, have some wine, watch TV, do it again the next day. But for her to be so passionate about it and like literally check in, literally, make notes
Yeah.
for my parents and stuff like that, I'm like, it even like I was younger and I was very frustrated, but I was like, yo, why does she care so much? Like I'm in trouble at home. Like I'm trying to play the game, and why do you care that much? So it really meant something to me that she was like my first mentor.
Who are some other people that inspired you on your musical journey?
I have to say, now are you referring to music or songwriting or both?
Let's go with both.
Okay, so
Yeah.
as far as my drumming inspiration and
Yeah.
musicality inspiration on that spectrum, I watched a lot of young drummers, well, I was younger, drummers growing up. So I was inspired by Calvin Rogers, Calvin Napper.
Nice.
We all had the Aaron Spears growing up. And then I really started to open my ears to different genres, and I opened my ears to Nat Townsley. And on the songwriting side, I really like when it came to, not to sound too biased, but when it came to Michael Jackson and Stevie, I started to really understand in those big genres before I got introduced to other artists that weren't on the label, that there was a way that you can stick something in someone's face and it still have that sting, even with 5 words or two separate melodies. There was a way to give and deliver something to somebody that allowed you to see where a person was coming from, even if it had a ooh or a ah. Like there was a way to feel something, even if it had no words. That blew me out. That blew my mind. So those are like major inspirations for me. And now you have, like the Robert Glaspers, you have the,
So many
Happy
others.
Puppies, and yes, so many people, man. So
So many people don't even count too, man. I know you did a lot of shows in your career so far. Tell me the whole transition from a church audience all the way into just like as your first actual musical act going at it. Tell me how that was a little bit different. Tell me the pros. Tell me the cons. Your story, man. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give the disclaimer. I like to be
Okay.
transparent. I like to be
That's fine.
real honest. So, I've been playing in church for a very long time, and
Right.
I've always had a passion to play what I felt, play what I wanted, write what I wanted, within staying in the lines of me, exercising my right to be a good human being.
Hmm.
Now, coming up, when I started playing drums, I was horrible. And when I say horrible, I was horrible. I was the guy that when you get to a concert or something like that,
Yeah.
you have to be the first one on to get as much time as you can, because when that guy that was the star came in, there were no words exchanged. There was nothing. He came to the side of the drum kit and he just said, "Go ahead, go ahead." And you sat on the side like, "Oh man, I knew I sucked still." But I was that guy. And for a little while, before I get to the going to other genres, for a
Yeah.
little while I was really, 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 really hurt, and it wasn't even hurt toward other people; it was toward myself. Like I was beating myself up for having been playing for like 3 years and not having some type of professional. Like I was really hard on myself, especially at the time where we didn't have YouTube, we
Mm.
didn't have all these different outlets. You were there or you weren't.
Mm.
And I remember amongst so many people, we would go to concerts, and there would be just in the musicians pit alone about 100 guys just around, just looking. And I remember saying to myself, I can't really get too far if I'm just trying to remember this off the bat. So my parents again went into the investment, and back when before we had like the advanced DSLRs, they had like the smaller cameras, and I would record, and the quality was awful. Like it was so awful. Like if the lighting was horrible, you had to legit like go in Windows Movie Maker and just like bump up the brightness 7 different times. But it allowed me to really understand what these guys are playing, and start to study and start to do things. And I took kind of like a small hiatus from going out, and I just
Right.
practice. I'm not going to keep putting myself out there, to get hurt. And I would just continue to practice. And over the course of, I want to say about 4 years, with no drum sets, I didn't get my first drum set until I was 15 or 16. So with no drum set, I went home and just went with the muscle memory and trying to
Wow.
things and figure out how far floor tom is and the cymbals and just go from there. It only took me a short amount of time, and then playing in church on Sundays, to really get it and get it and get it until my brother and I and a few other guys that I know now and play with now started to climb up. And it was like a very, very fast climb.
Yeah.
And we figured out now, well, this is when we were introduced to the shed as well, which musicians get together and just play over and over and over and over.
Mm.
And once we discovered this, we just did this over and over. I mean, you had a Friday night that we would go in at about 7 p.m. It wouldn't come out till 7 a.m. We would go get breakfast, go to sleep, and then go back the next day and do the same thing. We didn't have jobs. We didn't have kids. We were young. We just got into college. You know what I mean? So we did that, and then as time started going along, I started, building a name for myself and
Absolutely.
respectful as possible and stay within like the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, how you're doing something, you feel a tug as if no matter how much you're doing, no matter how impactful it is, there's something that you have to do.
Yeah. That's what passion can do to you.
Yeah.
Seriously,
man. Fast forwarding about, I want to say 8 years now, almost 9 years. Now I'm feeling like, there's something else I need to do. There's some other way that I need to project my music and
different ways to express yourself.
Yeah, express myself. Yes.
Gotcha. And I know you've been working with different companies throughout your tenure.
Yes.
WWE, meeting one of them. Me and Easy are big wrestling fans. How'd you get into that?
You know what's funny? It was a very, very funny situation. So the choir that I played for at the time, the communication is never, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Here it is. The communication is, it's like, hey man, what are you doing tonight at 7? I'm free. All right, come by. So I'm like, all right. So that was another day. So are you free? I said, okay, cool. And when they explained to me what was going on, I said, yeah, Jim Johnson's going to be there. I don't know if you know him. He's with the WWE. You guys are going to be the Titantron music. I'm like,
Oh,
all right, I know that terminology, but let's see. I get to the studio. We've been at this studio, Horizon in West Haven. We've been there.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm there now. Well, not now, but like
But,
Vic has taken my newest project under his wing.
oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, it's incredible. I love that. Like I just hung out with him on Wednesday. I love that dude.
Yeah. Yo,
So
Vic
yeah.
is amazing. I love
Oh
Vic.
yeah.
But it wasn't anything new. You know, we went to Vic
Right.
and I'm like, hey, what's going on, Vic? How's everything? And I get in the room and I'm setting up the cymbals. Nothing
Right.
crazy. And as I'm setting up the cymbals, we come back out. And when we come back into the main room, there's a guy standing there. Now it's a guy in a suit. It's hot outside. There's a guy in a suit. And I'm like, okay, this seems kind of serious because we're all dressed down.
Mhm.
He starts talking. In the first 5 minutes, I said, "Oh, this is serious. This is the guy. This is him. This is Jim Johnson." So he was talking, and we were going over different areas of the project, and
right.
we got inside. Now, normally I have maybe 3% nerves. Like if it comes to me playing,
Right.
my motto is, what has gotten me through is if I'm gonna play something, I might mess up. And if I do
Right.
mess up, I kind of don't really care. It doesn't take away from how much time I put into it. That allows me to sit in front of 5 people calm or play in an arena of 20,000 people calm. Because it's like, if I mess up, we make mistakes. There's so
Right.
much going on with the brain that if I don't do something in time, there's too much happening from here to here to here to
Right.
that can go wrong. So that went out the window.
That's amazing. Thank you
Like,
for that
yeah.
extremely real moment.
Yes, I said, like this could be a make or break. This could be a break or break. Like,
Right.
and oh
I'm
man,
gonna die.
right? Oh, man, I sat there and I'm playing the song the way because they sent us the files before,
Mhm.
and I'm playing the song the way it's going and everything. And I said, well, if I play it just like the record, they won't have a problem. That's how they raised me up. Just play it like the record. I got
Mhm.
that. And as soon as I sit on the drums, he says, "Oh, just use that as a reference. I don't even want it like that." I'm like, "Oh, God,
No,
yeah,
you mother son of a gun.
right." I was like, "Dude." So it was nerve wracking, and he was guiding me through. But what
What I
happened?
thought, Don, I'm very sorry. WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, Prestige, and Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, Easy Blues is in the building for Behind the Brand. We're talking to Don J, independent artist, talking about his musical journey. Go right ahead, sir. I'm very sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Gotcha.
So when I sat there, he was coaching me through the parts, and he was telling me, I want this and second boom ba, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I used to do that when I was a kid. I ain't had no drum set, so it made it so much easier. And I'm like, all right. So everything he was mouthing, I was able to do. And he was like, perfect. So literally about the first 15 minutes through the session, I had so much peace of mind because at this time, I'm heavy on learn how to read music, learn how to do this, learn how to do this. So much so when I was in high school, at that time, I was already, like I said, it only took me about 3 years to get what they consider nice. And I felt like I was there. I was young and I got to high school and I'm like, I can play this, I can play this. He said, no, you're not going to play drums. You're actually going to play drums your third year here. First 2 years, you're going to play keys and xylophone. You're going to learn how to read music.
Yep.
So that carried with me. And I was so nervous that Jim was going to give me a sheet. I was so nervous. I was like, man, please just mouth it and let me do it that way. Because I've only been reading for like 3 years now, please.
Right.
So, that gave me some peace of mind. And for the sake, I want to say a lot in regards to the information afterwards, but like for the sake of the contract, I can't say much about who it's for and what happened after. But it was a great experience, and that I've dreamed about it when I was a kid. I prayed about it, and it was one of those prayers where you say it and then it just kind of goes away. And then when everything was said and done, right after that, he kept my brother's contact because he wanted to keep inviting him back, which he did to the studio.
Yeah.
And I sat there after everything was said and done, left, was in my car, and I'm just like, that happened. Like that that actually happened, and I was like, I prayed about that when I was like 9.
Yeah.
Like when I was pretending I was Bill Goldberg, just putting the fake sparkles on my face. I'm like, I prayed about like, you
Yep.
know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
was one of the coolest experiences or nerve wracking and coolest experiences I ever had. You know?
You know what else happened at Prudential Center? Tell me about that.
Yeah. That was the first arena I've ever played in.
Wow.
Yeah, they had the McDonald's Gospel Fest, and
Okay.
I had to perform there. And prior to that, I'm a big fan of rehearsing and doing things right. So whether it be the people that work with me for my band, they understand, and I
Hmm.
try to keep it to a minimum. But when I work with a lot of other musicians, they want to do like a 30-minute or hour rehearsal and just call it a day. I'm not used to that. And the Prudential Center was one of many examples of where we would have an 8 hour rehearsal, just 8 back to back, no breaks. Get your gallon of water, sit it right next to the drums. You just do it.
Mm.
So that was one of the things. And I was working with one of my older mentors that I've only probably played with twice prior to that. And it was a choir. It was a choir. They just came out not too long ago, not too long from that date, and they were building. It was like a snowball effect, and we kept rehearsing, kept rehearsing, kept rehearsing, getting the music right. So when I got to the place, they said it's going to be at the Prudential Center. Again, I'm young. I'm not doing any research like trying to figure out how big this place is or anything like that. So we get there, get to the parking lot. And this place is pretty big, pretty exciting, very exciting, very exciting, very exciting. And the front door's open. Okay, excitement's good. A little nerves, cool. I'm starting to see. Get inside the arena, and I'm just like, oh, oh. And of course, you look at the empty seats, and it's like, this is all right. I can do this. We rehearse all this time. I can do this. Don't blow it. You know, like Home Alone. This is it. Don't get scared now. And I'm like, I can do it. It wasn't until it was showtime, and then the empty seats are actually filled with people, and it makes the place look 10 times bigger than it actually is. And I just remember they introduced us, and I sat on the drums, and I'm looking at I'm used to like bulkier, like cheaper mics and different things. I'm looking at all this high technology,
Yeah.
lights, the beep, and all that stuff, and I'm just like, I don't think I can do this, man. My
It
first
was next
arena
level, I
ever.
bet. It was next level, I bet.
Yeah, it was, and it was like rip the band-aid off. Like it allowed me to really, really, really like get over my nerves fast. There was
Okay.
nothing I can do in turn in means of turning around. So that was one cool experience for me. It went well. We did pretty
Now,
well.
did that calm you down for Radio City Music Hall in the future
It
after that?
did. It
Okay.
did. To be honest, because when we went to Radio City Music Hall, we got there, we were sound checking. By the time we got to Radio City, I've been playing in so many stages. But the historic nature of Radio City,
Hmm.
first being there, I was expecting nerves. So because it was expected of me because of past experience, I'm like, I should be nervous. There's something wrong. I'm just excited. I should
Right.
be nervous. Sound checking, everything happening, and I wasn't nervous. You know what I mean? Up
Right.
until the point I remember we were about to go on stage. Now, whenever you see a musician, spoiler, whenever
Yeah.
you see a musician at any event, and it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes before showtime, and
Uh-huh.
they're either like walking around or chewing gum or like on the kit, just like doing videos and all other stuff, they are ready to kill that gig. Like they are ready. Because if you see a musician at a gig and they're just sitting on their post for like 30 minutes or so, just sitting there, either they're very disciplined or
Okay.
they're extremely nervous, trying to look at everything that they should be doing. So for me, I was there and I had some of my friends, one of my friends, who's the bass player, he was playing that night, and he was like, "Man, this is not the bass player, keyboard player. I'm sorry." He said, "Man, this
Okay.
is crazy. I don't know what I don't know what I should be doing." And I'm just like, take him by the shoulder and listen, man. just enjoy yourself. Don't even worry about it. Like
Right.
at this time, I'm like, I did it and it felt good. You know what I mean? But it still gave that sense of excitement. So much so when like our set was over, I was still kind of sitting there like, all right, you got to get up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Take the cymbals off. Like, but it was very exciting.
This was another festival at Radio City Music Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now this was Verizon's How Sweet the Sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Well, and just for the listener who doesn't really understand how important Radio City Music Hall is to a musician, there has been this joke, I think, since vaudeville days, that, you know, how do you get, you know, to Carnegie Hall? How do you get to Radio City? You know, and it's practice. Yeah. So to be able to be in that moment, I mean, it's so huge and it's so important for a musician.
Yeah.
You know, because there are those things where you check off. I mean, I'm from Long Island, so, you know, I had to check off playing CBGBs. I had to check off, you know, playing Kenny's Castaway. You know, those big spots in the city, those were things as growing up, you're like, I have not made it until I've played CBGB.
Yeah.
And then you play CBGBs, you're like, I still have not made it.
Yes.
This is gross. This bathroom is disgusting. That dog is pooping on the floor. Yeah. What is going on here?
Exactly.
You know, but there are those moments where you're like, this is the most important moment of my life.
Yeah.
You know, and what I love about everything that you've said is there is that 100% philosophy of 1,000 hours. It takes 1,000 hours of you doing something to become a master at it.
Yeah.
And you understood as you were evolving where you needed to tune things up, where you needed to fine tune. And everything that you're saying really translates over to the same way, you know, professional athletes become better. Mm-hmm. You know, you knew that just the practice of it wasn't going to get you where you needed to be. So you watched tape.
Yeah.
You know, and you learned from those aspects. Now it's super easy for everybody because they have YouTube. But like, I remember having to go through and be like, you know, as a frontman, I'm like, oh man, I need to see how someone else is going to do that. I wish someone had a performance of like Roger Daltrey, you know, playing, you know, at this one show, or, you know, coming up through the era of grunge, you know, Eddie Vedder climbed up a 10-foot high speaker and swung from the rafters. I need to do that. My shows aren't good enough until I'm swinging from a rafter. And then you swing from a rafter and you go, my shows still aren't good enough. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? So, but it's so important to really have that study, and I love that you're being so forward with that. Because so many people think, you know, I can rhyme a little bit. I can do this. I've released my first song. Where's my $1 million?
Yeah.
That's just the stepping stone. And I love you coming from a gospel artist. I actually explain Christianity the same way I explain like getting a record deal.
Yeah.
So when you become a Christian, everyone's like, hey, all the work's done. Like, no, actually becoming a Christian, that's when the work starts.
Right.
Getting a record deal, a lot of people are like, hey, my work's done. I got a record deal. And like, no, that's actually where the work starts.
Right.
You know, now you have to work 10 times harder. So I really love how you brought that forward.
Absolutely. And I think that people I'm going to plug this up real quick. They have a misconception when it comes to working hard. And musicians in my time, there are so many things that you can learn that YouTube won't teach you. One thing I've learned is, outside of me playing fast or playing hard or whatever the case is, I've noticed from feedback, people are drawn to my playing because it's musical and more elaborative. They can feel that I'm flowing and connecting with other people. And I tell these musicians nowadays, if I do a clinic or if I'm just talking to somebody, the importance of putting yourself last as a musician, you will really understand how important it is as a band to put yourself last. If you put yourself last, you can hear what's going on. So if I'm playing a song and I want to play a beat or a vibe, or I want to do a chop at the fourth bar, if I listen to what everybody else is doing, it'll either give me permission to do it, or it'll give me permission to stay exactly where I am. And guys don't do that. They think, and YouTube it's like a blessing and a curse, because they think, you know, I have this chop, I'm gonna do this on this song, it's gonna work. And by the time you have the show, for whatever reason, say the artist is on a very high part. You said you're going to do your chop or whatever at this bar. For whatever reason, that artist said, all right, everybody bring it down. You
Mm.
weren't paying attention. You did your chop. Everybody brought it down, and you're still, and it makes no sense. You know what I mean? And YouTube is great, but I have to agree with you, Dustin. Like when it comes to being able to implement something that you've seen that may work and trying it, that's the biggest thing. And I mean no harm for any musician or anybody that's out here, but the worst thing you can do, because everybody's learning like how to play chops, which is just a bunch of pieced together fast drum fills and rudiments and paradiddles and all that stuff. But then when you really, where the bread and butter comes in, a gig, engagement, or an engagement, anything that's outside of just playing fast, they don't have it. And people, I notice over time, people will get frustrated with me because I would get called to a gig or something, and then when I get called to the gig, I'll play pocket or I'll play what the music entails, and they'll say, "I could have did that," and the artist's response is 9 times out of 10, "Why didn't you?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's nothing to prove, and I think
Right.
that's where we're going wrong with YouTube. Every musician wants to learn like the flashy stuff. When's the
Mhm.
last time somebody, a musician looked up Billie Jean, like
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Moffat, Sugarfoot, Billie Jean,
Right.
and they're just like, they don't want to watch that because it doesn't look appealing. It doesn't look like the big shebang. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't know.
Richie Robinson from the Black Crowes
Mm-hmm,
actually was talking about that as a guitar player,
mm-hmm,
and he actually used Aretha Franklin. He said
mm-hmm.
Aretha Franklin has the capability of hitting every single note in every single scale every single time,
Yeah,
but she doesn't.
yeah,
She doesn't do it every time because that's not right for the song.
yeah.
And it is, I really love how, and I see it a lot with gospel drummers in particular, is they
Mm.
can play the feel of the
Yeah,
song so much. Like that pocket is just home for them.
yeah,
And but that, like, and I say when the spirit calls them,
yeah,
it hits, and it hits right, and it hits impactfully. And no
yeah,
matter what, even that dude who had such a horrible day and a horrible week, and he was living a life like Job all week, when
yeah,
that drummer hits that point, his knees buckle, he drops down, and he's praising the Lord because it was
yeah,
real. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
That's real.
So
You're right.
yeah, no,
Absolutely right.
definitely.
Don J, how
Uh,
harder have you worked ever since this pandemic started? You already have a
so
hard work ethic now. We already know that. But how harder now is your work ethic?
to be honest, and this will probably surprise you. When it comes to excuse me, I'm sorry. When it comes to like my work in the areas that I worked in, I kind of
Yeah.
shifted left.
Okay.
Um, so right before the bulk of the pandemic, I've dropped the Voyage of the City album that I've been working on for a while. And when it came to my work ethic before the pandemic, I'll rewind a little bit. They had concerts, they had different things, so many things that I can go to and just enjoy myself. But I couldn't afford $30,000 to pay engineers, so it took 5 years to learn how to engineer myself. I couldn't afford, crazy amounts of money to pay singers, so I figured out a way to really, really befriend people and be good to people. And if they did give me a discount, they did. If they didn't, they didn't. But it allowed me to understand so that, if I had to do it, I'd do it myself.
Yeah.
Now, learning this information helped me with the pandemic because it allowed me to work so efficiently in a way that I didn't have to put so much time into it. So mixing, mastering, taking on other people's new projects, doing my own projects, all this stuff that used to take me, and I mean months to do, I
Wow.
can sit in one setting and say, okay, do this, H compressor, API, blah, 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 cool, done in 2 days. So it allowed me to really go and chase after things that I knew nothing about. I wanted to do business ventures and inspire people, but I had no credentials. I didn't have an LLC. I didn't have the accountant that I have today. I didn't have the entertainment lawyer. I didn't have any of this. So it allowed me to work hard in that aspect which a person who walked in my living room would just say, "You're just watching videos, or you're just reading books," which I did. I
Right.
had to do this stuff, so that I can really educate myself. So in terms of working hard during the times of pandemic, it's been a little easier on me because it didn't have to require so much in regards to physically working on music. It required a lot of me really spending time on a lot of learning. So it's
Right.
been easier in a sense. But however, I know the pandemic still goes on. Who knows how long it'll go on? But
That's true.
as of next month, things kind of change a little bit, and
Mhm.
I have to go back into that, you know, extremely working hard. Like no one really sees me outside the house. No one, unless I'm, doing a gig or working. No one really, sees anything that I'm putting out or progressing toward until it's the time to push it out again. So it's almost like I'm a caveman and here's my work. I'm a caveman, here's my work. So
Well, I mean, that's very much similar to like what Brian Wilson would do as
um,
well. So, I mean, this is really, you're finding your piece of the big song.
yeah,
The other thing though is, how I actually came across, you and your music was Manny James, who
yeah,
was a guest a couple weeks ago, absolutely phenomenal. But
uh,
also, you have a clothing line. And what I
yeah,
love about the clothing line itself is the message.
yeah.
So
Appreciate it.
it's kind of like you can wear positive feelings, and it's
Yeah,
okay to feel good about yourself.
yeah,
And that's
Tells his
like
clothing line on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with EZ Blues, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made. Don J is in the building. We're telling about his life story, his life musical story. And we're going to even premiere a little bit of his music later on in the show. So I'm really excited about that. But continue on about your clothing line, sir. Right ahead.
you were asking a question. I do apologize.
yeah. Oh no,
Yes.
I just no, it's fine. I what inspired you to, and especially again now I think is by far some of the best time, with everyone being home, being trapped almost inside their own heads. So when you get to see something like your Keep Grinding or the barcode that says self worth, and what inspired you to take that step?
Um, what inspired me when it comes to being common, I'm kind of like a rebel for standing out. Like well, I'll say it this way. I would rather stand out and question why something's being done than to chase the same exact thing that everybody's doing. Now, in today's time, in today's economy, today's population, people don't think, and I know most people will really kind of stick me for saying this, but I have to put it out there. When it comes to anything that somebody is fed, these generations, these newer generations, we take in whatever it is that's there. So if we don't agree with it, we force ourselves to agree with it.
Right.
So the music industry, in my opinion, the belief is, we give you the music, we tell you what's hot, and that's it, and you listen to it. Now, realistically, we listen to it because we have no choice. I can't
Right.
turn on another radio station and you know what I mean? I mean, we have our phones and whatnot, but radio is actually still one of the biggest things, the biggest influences of music time. But me personally, I miss the time where a person can express positivity and not be looked at sideways for it. You know what I
Right.
mean? If you give me something, I can agree with it and then I can process it and use it. So
Right.
I listen to so many different songs and I look at so much apparel and I look at, oh my God, the messages of today and everybody is about, I mean no harm, but everybody's about you steal your girl, I can be
Hmm.
toxic if I want to. Just so much
Right.
stuff that has nothing to do with you as an individual getting as far as you want. That's a problem
Hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
So even if it's one person, if it's five people, if it's 5,000 people, 50,000 people, if I can spread a message, not even kind of subtly, but if I can spread a message where you can wear how you really feel without
Mhm.
Hmm.
even thinking about it, when somebody sees you, you open your mouth, and in the first 5 minutes, you can tell them, or they can tell who you are, how you feel, without having to do that. I want to walk to the grocery store, and I want to let people know that I feel good about myself. So outside of self-worth and keep knocking, there's some shirts and some apparel that's being made now, and we have my name is custom, so you put your name
Right.
in. I'm in love with my story. We
That's
have,
awesome.
you know what I mean. We have
Yeah.
um, it's a longer quote. So it's basically saying that pretending to be tough doesn't make you tough, and expressing emotions doesn't make you weak. So
Ah,
you know what I mean? Just
yeah.
and I know like some people would look at it and at first, you do something different and people are just like, man, but
Yeah.
you have to openly, it's something that you have to think about. And me, when I wear the shirts, I look down, like sometimes like wearing the self-worth, I'm like, oh man, don't wear that, man. You know what they're gonna say to you as a man wearing that? And I think about it and I'm like, no, this is it. It's a message. This is the message. This is what people
Right.
want to feel. And I was telling my wife this the other day. When I see people, she used to ask me, why do you say hi? Like you say hi to pretty much everybody you see. You always say what's up. I say, because I'd rather, when you have a bad day and I'm having a good day, or if I'm having a bad day and you're having a good day, I would rather project my positivity on you before you even get a chance to open your mouth. So
Yep.
you might be, oh my gosh, today sucked. My dog did this. I got fired. Hey, how's it going, man? You all right? How's it? You look down. Are you okay? And then it's just like, okay. So I thought about how to do that within apparel. So you I don't use the word force, but you force your positivity on somebody. Now I hope you wear the emotions that come with the shirt,
Right.
but you give that to somebody without them having to think or having them to just adapt to the negative that you already see. That's natural. You can wake up naturally.
Right.
Like, for prime example, we naturally are negative people. You have to train yourself to be good or to be positive. You don't have to tell your kids, growing up, hey, hit your sister. Hey,
Right.
don't eat that cereal. You don't have to tell them. They naturally know. You got to tell them, sit down. Don't do that. We've
Right.
been naturally inclined to stay negative since we were kids. So you have to train people, and you have to constantly train your brain to be positive. So that's the one thing that I wanted to stick out in my music, my apparel, some books that are being written, and everything. Just transparency, honesty, and positivity.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned it earlier because my Wi-Fi was going in and out, but what is the good website to actually get merchandise, and just tell our audience where to pick that up?
To pick up the apparel.
Yeah.
Oh, so that'd be artfulsoulband.com
Okay.
/shop.
Nice. Now, one thing I just love about you is your constant drive to learn. A lot of musicians don't want to do that. Like you said earlier in the broadcast, it's a lot instant. Everything's instant. They want everything instant. But in those 5 years or 6 years you put into your learning to engineer, to produce, to songwrite, that helps you out for a long way of being help you out and help your longevity. That's the right word I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That definitely helped you out. And a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people don't want to take the 3-4 years to help them out for the 35 plus years of their, because you can do this for a lifetime. You may not perform for a lifetime.
Right.
You can definitely be part of music for a lifetime. You can inspire others. You can build a whole label for yourself. Like you said, you don't know where this is going to take you. It's crazy. It's a crazy life that we live right now. And I think that's a really great message that you're just giving out to yourself, mostly as your brand, and to other artists around. Just hearing about this, brother. So good. Salutes to you. Definitely.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But we talked about the past, but Easy, I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's if there's anyone, the people at home with their pen and their piece of paper trying to figure out, the secret formula, the main thing that I really want them to focus on is it was all of those hours of preparation. It was all of those hours of practice. It was all of that that made it quick, made it easy.
Mm-hmm.
What made you prepared for that moment at Radio City Music Hall was hours and years upon honing your craft.
Yeah.
About becoming a master at it. And that's key. That it really is key. And obviously we spoke about YouTube and we speak about Spotify and all these other things. There are all of these tricks that you can take an okay song and you can make it successful by these tricks.
Yeah.
But when you master your craft, no matter what you do, when it hits, it's going to be a forever thing, not a for now. That has always been, when dealing with mainstream anything, there are always these for now fads. But the things that are real, the things that are crafted, the Jim Carreys who spent hours upon hours upon hours telling jokes and being horrible to begin with.
Yeah.
But those years he was able to write that check for $20 million and keep it in his wallet as motivation, and then he was able to cash it.
Yeah.
And that's key. And
Yeah.
a lot of people forget that. It's so easy to get discouraged. It's so easy to be beaten down because art is subjective.
Yeah.
And
You're
you
absolutely
have
right.
to understand there are people just aren't going to feel it. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when I'm writing, one, I'm writing for myself, so I need to feel it. But my goal is for one.
Yeah.
If one person goes, oh my God, like, thank you so much. Like, this got me through that. That's the goal. Like, just one, just one, and it's just years upon years upon putting in that work that makes it look effortless.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that. A lot of people are, and a lot of venues forget that. And a lot of people don't want to pay what the work really is.
Yeah.
Because, well, you're only playing for 15 minutes. So, this is 15 minutes. Yeah, but it took thousands upon thousands upon thousands of hours to give you the best 15 minutes of your life.
Right.
So.
You're right. You're right.
But time is running thin, unfortunately, program, Don J. We're going to premiere your song at the end of the show. But before we do that, just tell them where to get your information for the album and just the upcoming project. And just please promote all your social media, man. Go ahead. That time is yours.
Okay. You can find me, Dahn, is DAHN _J on Instagram, Downshore Johnson, real name, on Facebook. You can also search Don J on Facebook, you'll be able to find me. Don J and Artful Soul for Spotify, iTunes, all of those. The newest album is Voyage Lucidity. The album before that is For the Road. So you can find me on pretty much every outlet out there possible.
Definitely. We got music from Don J right now on Behind the Brand with myself, Prestige, Easy Bluez, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made, WNHH LP 103.5 FM. Don J, thank you. Thank you for being
Absolutely.
Part of it.
Absolutely.
Definitely, brother.
All right.
Something ain't right. I feel like you've been taunting me. Eager to fight, hoping someday I will leave. Forgetting that you gave up so naturally. You must have forgot you X'd me out entirely. Childish games, you just can't accept the truth. To make it worse, you would play the victim too. Insecure, surviving with a broken heart. And now I'm sure that you were broken from the start. I seek companionship, but you just seek the talk. I speak intelligence, but you just seek the know. Sometimes I feel like I'm just here to fill a void. You say you want a man, but really it's a boy. Negative much, wondering why I disappear. Nagging so much, drying out my atmosphere. I don't understand how you could be so bored. I do it all, you can't cook or clean or do a chore. And I'm so done with all your games, your crime and grit. And this is so dumb, it couldn't be more opposite. Now that you're gone, scouting for a man to do all that you can't, but he will see you're useless too. I just seek the tone. I speak intelligence, but you just seek the know. Sometimes I feel like I'm just here just to fill the void. You say you want a man, but really it's a boy. I seek companionship, but you just seek the tone. I speak intelligence, but you just seek the know. Sometimes I feel like I'm just here to fill the void. You say you want a man, but really it's a boy.